We're ready to go. Welcome everybody to this hybrid City Council special study session on Monday, October 25th. And I apologize to the public that might be trying to get in, but we just were able to get some of the sound on tonight for a hybrid. We have one of our council members online, I believe on Zoom, and it's member Questa, is that right? Is that a D up there for him?
Correct.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Here,
Great. We probably won't take agenda or take a roll call tonight, but Councilmember Questa is on Zoom. Member Russell just let us know a few minutes ago for sure she was not going to be here, and Member Wink is home ill. So with the four of us tonight with 5 online, so thank you for being here. Our first agenda tonight is September 29th, or September Monday financial report, and this is Director Finance Jackie Loh is here to present this to us. 10 minutes for presentation and then time for discussion. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to present the September General Fund financials with you tonight. At the end of September, which is also the end of the third quarter, our revenues have been steady. Through September 2021, the City General Fund receipts total $44 million, which amounts to 83% of budgeted revenue. The total revenue year to date is tracking 11.1% higher than the same time last year. I wrote the revenue narratives, the variances in the narratives for your review. I just want to highlight a few major items. The sales use tax remittance total $25.5 million, which is $2.1 million higher than the same time last year. Of the $2.1 million variance, $300,000 is due to closing the liability account. Additionally, the sales use tax audits and the voluntary disclosure collections amount to $705,000, which is not in the budgeted amount. Marijuana sales tax amount to $1.4 million, which is $66,000 higher than prior year. License permits revenue totals $1.6 million, as we receive a few large development plan review fees. Parks and Rec, library golf is going strong because the facilities were operating at a reduced capacity in 2020, but we reopened May 2021. The American Rescue Plan Act grant funding of $1.5 million has been recorded using the lost revenue provision. I want to point out, according to the new guideline from the Government Finance Officers Association, the lost revenue provision for 2021 is close to $5 million, which is $1.8 million higher than our initial thought. We're planning to present a final spending plan to Council in near future. Once the Council gives the approval to the spending plan, the finance staff will record the rest of the lost revenue. Investor earnings are negative, $452 less than the same time last year due to market fluctuation. And the next slide shows the sales use tax revenues collected according to the top 10 business sources. Due to COVID, the manufacturing industries and healthcare industries, the use taxes are still lower compared to the same time last year. This slide shows the sales use tax revenues collected, the cash received. You can see we are going strong in terms of collection in the past since March. Regarding the expenditures year to date are $39,000 or 67% of the fiscal year budget. We have a few timing issue for IT Public Works because it will pay a few one-time large items earlier than the same time last year. You can read the rest of the narratives for the expenditure variances. The good news is operating surplus, which is excess revenues over expenditures, is $4.6 million, Remember, it includes 1.5 million ARPA funding. The next slide shows the fund transfer in and transfer out. The net transfer out of the general fund is $10,795,000. So if you see this slide to show our general fund balance, we had a deficit 6.1 million. This actually include operating surplus of 4.6 million and a net transfer out of the general fund of 10.7 million. We also include the sales use tax collections by area. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions or comment.
Thank you, Director Loh. Ooh, this seems different this tonight. It's okay, it's fine. Any questions or comments about what you're seeing here? Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director Loh. Wow, louder. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering, just trying to get some clarity here on the slide that has the sales and use tax revenue by business categories. It has marketplace facilitators, which is the first year we've had that, and that shows, it looks like about $1 million. Am I reading that correctly? Anyway.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then I had kind of been, I thought this category ended up showing in area 14 for online sales tax. Can you explain the difference between the marketplace facilitators and the online sales tax collected? And is the marketplace facilitators collections reflected anywhere in the different areas in the area slides?
Yeah, let me see. I will confirm this information with the revenue and tax audit supervisor. I believe Area 7 include all the taxes collected outside the city. You may think we do have quite a few large vendors, such was it DoorDash? They deliver food to the residents in city of Inglewood. We do collect revenue on that. That's a large piece. And also we have a few large vendors. They disclose their sales use tax with city. We call voluntary self-disclosure, like Sephora. That's a large international company. When they deliver their products to our residents, we collect sales tax as well. So that's the majority of the taxes received from the marketplace facilitators.
Okay, so you're going to confirm it, but you're suggesting that the marketplace facilitators shows up in Area 7?
Yes.
Okay, and then in that case, Area 14 is sales tax collected from businesses in Inglewood selling to outside or selling outside of the city or selling to other people inside the city?
No, I think I got you. You are thinking 14 is for the marketplace facilitators, and 7 is probably just a business. They do business within the city of Inglewood, but they don't have a physical address in city of Inglewood. Let me confirm that for you.
Right. Because the discrepancy is that Area 14 is, very low number, and the marketplace facilitators is higher.
Okay. Let me confirm that
Okay.
with you.
Thank you.
I just want to tell you where the sales taxes come from.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. I don't see any other lights on. Does anybody else want to ask anything? I guess I do have a question because of marketplace facilitators. There is no 2021 on that one. 2020 on that one. And that's because, again, why?
If I remember correctly, we did not start collecting the taxes from marketplace facilitators until September, October. So we will probably see the number when we review the October financials.
I remember it being earlier than that, but that'd be great if you could check out on that too.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Member Anderson, do you have another one? All right. All right. I think that is it for 1A then. Thank you very much. Oh, Member Cuesta, did you have a question? You're muted. Gosh, it's really...
No question, Mayor, but thank you.
Okay, thanks. You could see him say no. All right.
Okay.
Our second agenda, thank you very much. Our second agenda item is our Information Technology Council Chambers Technology Training. And our Administrator Ryan Hunnicutt is here to help us demonstrate the new Council Chambers technology. But I do have a question. I think when we're talking about this meeting in our agenda setting, we talked about whether we would come back in here and finish up boards and commissions and a council's choice. Are we going to stay in there, or are we going to stay? We're going to come back in here. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, the idea was to come back in here
Okay.
to do that. So, I mean, thank you for, this is,
It's fun, isn't
it's
it?
blurry there, and I thought my glasses, if I had glasses, So thank you for having us. We would like to kind of give you guys an overview of the system, of how you guys would actually be using the new system, voting in there. What we've done is with the system, sorry, I don't have a presentation, and somebody that was supposed to join online, we're still having some technical problems. But the idea is to bring all of those, with this whole system, the idea is to bring in all of the streams from outside. So whether it's a citizen, or if it's a council member, or people joining these meetings remotely, to bring them into our meetings, and to combine the people that are here physically so we could actually have a collaboration, and a good collaboration, and hear what other people have to say and join us online. Right now, we have about 90% of everything installed. We have one issue, we have some supply chain issues, so we have one item that combines all of our video feeds and our audios, all the web streams and all the physical streams together. That did not ship, and we are actually looking at a mid-November ship date for that item, so it's pushed this project back a little bit. We just found that out last week. We were putting the systems together and found out that we had a missing part. We called the manufacturer, and they said was supply chain issues. This is not expected to ship mid-November. So we'll do an update, but for the other things of how you're going to be using the system, we believe that you guys could actually get a good feel of how that works, and how the meeting would be ran. We've got the system in the council chambers, and when you're conducting a meeting, if it ever gets full, this room now becomes the overflow. So the citizens can come into here and actually watch the council meeting that's going on in there. So we're not having so many people in that room. But these rooms can also work independently as well. So that's how the whole system is designed and how it all works together. So the idea was for this meeting was to bring you guys into that room. We'll go over a couple of things of how to vote and actually how the audio system works. If there is any questions during that time, please do ask, and if we can configure it different ways. We're going from an old analog system to a digital system where we have a lot more options to actually configure the system. Did you guys, and we also have John and Mark from Ford AV over there, and then we have Ryan. I guess, did you guys want to add anything?
I would just say that if you can see the screen behind you, and there's a big drop-down screen they've been installing, all the new cameras, so all the 4 new camera placements. Once this is all online and working correctly, all these screens and all the tape will be down and everything, and all the cords, and so the room will function a lot nicer than it is right now. We have a couple different things built in, so if we just want to run a meeting in here, you know, we can just run a meeting, a Zoom meeting, anything like that. If we can have the presenters, you know, we can pick which inputs that we want on any screen so that we can, you know, have the slides up and have anyone, if they're joining on Zoom, they can be on the screen on the wall. So it should be a really nice place to have a meeting as soon as we have the rest of the digital inputs ready to go. But like I said, we're waiting on a couple pieces of gear.
Great. I have a couple questions before we go in. So are you looking at us not starting in there until probably later November now? Is that the plan?
We're hoping later
Okay.
November. It could go into January, depending
Okay.
on when we get this product in. We do have a couple other items that we had some issues that are, you know, we had some shipping delays on those,
Yeah.
but we found workarounds and we were able to address those. It's just this one particular item, because it is proprietary to the other system. It was a whole system as one, but a piece of it wasn't shipped, and that's the reason for the delay.
Sure, yeah, that's been all over the place, so I know. So I appreciate that I know that you're having to be really patient. I think tonight we were hoping we'd get enough done to get everybody up to speed, but we were missing so many people that, but Member Cuesta and I both won't be here after everything starts, so that doesn't matter as much. But hopefully we can go in and check some things out, and you'll be able to figure out if there are any other issues that need to be resolved, or other ways of thinking about this. So I think it's still worth doing tonight, even though it's a ways out for us to be using it. So.
The voting display, we are working on that. That is an issue. That is a item that we addressed earlier today to say
Okay.
we needed better visibility, so we're working on some of the programming
Okay,
aspects.
well,
of
good.
it.
This is a good dry run then, to try it out, make sure we get some kinks out of it. I had hoped that we'd get all that done so that when the new council is seated, it was all ready to go and was not a big deal anymore. But I guess there'll be some transition in that too, which is just the way the world is right now.
That was the idea, that was the plan.
Yeah, I know it was. Manager Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't want to interrupt the questioning, but I was just going to let Member Cuesta know we would love for you to stay on so we would have a quorum and when we get back in here for member's choice, but it's actually not required. It was just consulting with the city attorney. So we will lose quorum if we lose him, but we could still wrap up the meeting with member's choice as no action would be taken.
Yeah. Member Cuesta, do you want to hang on until we're in there and come back, or? I know you're on the road, so. We didn't hear that.
Yes, Mayor, I will just sit tight.
Oh, good, thank you. I bet we won't be in there very long, there's only 4 of us, so. But lots more to teach us about it. Anything else, Manager Lewis? Okay, great, let's head in then. I think we're back. Member Cuesta, are you on still? Probably thought it was going to be. Hey, it's really cool in there. You're going to be really excited by it. Except that you and I are not going to actually get to use it, so forget I just said that. Since they're not going to be ready, but it is really cool in there. All right, so I think we are finished with agenda item 2, which is the info technology, and thanks to all the staff who are working on that still. Our third agenda item is reports on board and commission council liaisons. So who would like to start? Anybody have a meeting recently? Member Anderson.
I don't think we had reported on water and sewer board, so I'll go. Actually, most of the stuff we had at water and sewer board, we already covered at city council. We had the connector district rate methodology and the Water Smart grant application. Those were the two main things. And then the backflow program. So all of those things we had already talked about at council, so I don't think there's really a relevant update there. The other one I had was the Sustainability Commission. We had a presentation from Chief Building Official Montanez on green building codes, which I know as council we talked about sometime a while back as well. So it was just a rehash of that same presentation that we had had. Otherwise, no further updates.
All right. Anybody else? Neither of you have Mayor Pro Tem Sierra?
Actually, it is loud. Actually, I do have a question for Member Anderson, but I missed the BAC meeting last Tuesday, so is that feedback coming from you? Yeah, so I'll report during the next meeting, the BAC meeting. But regarding the Sustainability Commission, were there, I know that's something that I am interested in seeing come forward to council at some point. Is there an action item for the council in terms of, wasn't sure if it was the green building, but it's just, in terms of just voting on that or what the next steps are, is that still with the city, within the commission itself, or where does that stand?
It wasn't really an action item, it was more of an information presentation. I think we're still working out the kind of the methodology for how the Sustainability Commission would go about recommending something to City Council. And right now we're in more of a information gathering phase. So we're getting reports from different staff members on different aspects of sustainability within the city. But that was one that there was certainly interest from the commission on moving forward.
Thank you, Member Anderson.
I have another question too. Will they be doing a goal-setting session for themselves, or will they simply be working through the action plan, our goals? Do you know? Have they talked about that at all? There was a time when KEB actually set up a whole set of goals for a year, but I know they hadn't done that for a while.
I don't know if I have a good answer for that. I think that if that was suggested to them, they would love that's kind of the sense I'm getting from the meetings is how do we work something to council? How do we make our priorities for the year? So those questions are kind of I don't think they've fully been hashed out yet. So, and I'm not sure if there's something, and I don't think there was anything in the revised bylaws for how to go about that, but I couldn't say for sure. So I'll ask that at the next meeting and see if we can. Yeah,
I think they can do whatever they want, as long as, it's got to be within our strategic plan. If
Sure.
they see things that are missing, they certainly can bring them up to us.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Pro Tem, were you going to say something more?
No, just to that question, I just wondered, is like assistant city manager not necessarily part of the commission, but is he attending each of these commission meetings? So I'm just thinking, I think once we get like too many of these mics up, I think the feedback occurs. I know that assistant city manager Dodd does have a lot of the input from city council, so he may be one person that at the very least can provide at least recommendations of what city council has been discussing or what they would like to see, and then they can start working in terms of just getting additional information for city council to start considering.
Go ahead, city manager.
Okay, thank you for the question and comment. I agree. And the plan is for Assistant City Manager Dodd to continue with that commission for the foreseeable future, but we do want to turn over official staff liaison work to the sustainability coordinator, the part-time sustainability coordinator that's in the budget, but absolutely he will be very engaged, and he will be that person's supervisor for at least the first year.
Are we hiring somebody now, or is it in the process?
No, we probably will start in November, putting all of the positions that were approved, start recruiting for those, but I don't believe any of those are up yet.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, Member Cuesta, do you have any boards and commissions?
I do, thank you, Mayor. I just have two from HPC. The first one being that they wrote a memo on a few items that they would like to be considered separate from the code rewrite. They forwarded that memo over to City Manager Lewis. And it does seem like the best target for that memo would be for council to consider it. So I'm going to send that over to the city clerk and then have her redistribute it to all the council members to read for their consideration. And then secondly, they have begun their campaign on the neighborhood namings. You guys, we had that study session on it, I don't know, within the past month, I believe. And there's now some Facebook posts up on it and a few different ways for citizens to access it and see where their neighborhood is, chime in on what they think it should be named, or if they agree with how it's currently been drafted. So everybody's encouraged to do that. It's a really fun ad that they put together, and credit the staff also for arranging that. They did a great job. But that is what I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I also have a question. This might be a council request, but Member Quest, I've gotten 2 calls from people in Arapahoe Acres in the last 2 weeks asking when are they going to get some protection for that neighborhood. And I'm wondering if HPC has actually done some preliminary work on outlining what needs to happen, so that question comes up many, many times, and if we have clear ideas what the role of that committee will be. It was interesting because one of the people on the HPC said, you should call the mayor. I don't have any power over the historic preservation of that neighborhood. I'd like to see something happen there, but would they be willing to take that up again and outline why or why not they won't, and maybe what the process would be for that neighborhood to think through again what they want?
Sure. I think that may very well tie in with kind of just some other initiatives they're going through and considering, I should say, nothing that they're ready to move forward right now. But yes, certainly. And I know that Arapahoe Acres is probably the most frequently cited neighborhood when it comes to preservation. So I would imagine they'd be happy to have that conversation.
Is there a way to initiate that through you? Can you put it on their agenda to talk it through?
I can get the email out to the group. I may have had my last meeting with that group, though, Mayor.
Okay.
Depending upon when the swearing is in their next meeting, I'd have to take a look. But in my current role, I'm more than happy to communicate through the email with them.
I don't know, City Manager, if it's better to have someone of your staff. I know there have been former documents around this and what they can and cannot do, but it seems like, I mean, it's just going to continue to come up until we explain to them exactly what they need to do or not, or what they cannot do legally.
Right.
And I know
Both
Attorney
with-
Niles will have to be involved in that in some way, but
Both with my neighbors in Arapahoe Acres, as well as every person in the city that has any interest in historic preservation, we are completely without any protections in the city for historic structures. The fact that we have a National Register historic district in Arapahoe Acres has 0 protections for any of the structures there. The only way to do that is through a historic preservation ordinance, which is in the works, obviously, and is part of the Code Next provision in the letter that Member Cuesta refers to. It's just the Historic Preservation Commission asking to move that up in the schedule. So planning staff would prefer that it stay as part of the Code Next discussion, but certainly that is council's prerogative if you wanted to move something up sooner.
so am I hearing this correctly, that Arapahoe Acres, actually that particular item is being moved up on their agenda? Or in general, neighborhoods who would want?
So I possibly didn't understand your questions about Arapahoe Acres. Are you talking about something special for Arapahoe Acres?
People there want to protect what they have and come up with some sort of an agreement throughout the entire neighborhood. I don't know how many people, but it seems like in the past they've been told they had to have at least, I can't remember what percent that came through from the Community Development Office and the Attorney's Office on what it had to be. But no one ever took the lead on it for their community. They expected the city to take the lead on it. So we were at a sort of a standstill.
I know of nothing in our code that would allow a neighborhood to protect itself.
No, it would be us protecting it, but through them determining together that they wanted us to do that.
Still no
It's still
avenue
not.
for that. We don't have a historic preservation ordinance, and so there is no way for them. They would simply have to appeal, lobby, if you will, advocate to the city council for the council to enact an historic preservation ordinance in order to create up a system that would provide for overlay zones. We could do
Right.
landmark designations that were protected, but currently I don't know of any.
No, there isn't anything right now, but they're asking for that. They're asking for what would the process be to get this, and how would we convince a council that that kind of a decision in an ordinance would be what the neighborhood wants? And I think they were always told, you have to get a certain percentage before we'd even consider it, and then create an ordinance to protect them. But maybe that just all needs to be laid out, that there is no way to do anything, is the answer that usually they get, but there is a way if they petition to council to do that, right? No? We can talk offline.
Not that I'm aware of. In other cities, these things all take place by order of a historic preservation ordinance. And in the absence of that, I don't think there's any way they could petition all they want, but there's nothing that you all could do in the absence of an ordinance that would give
But
you
we
that
could
authority.
but a council in the future could create an ordinance.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm asking for, is what is the
Right.
process for a council to create one, and under what circumstances would they say, yes, that seems reasonable or not?
Who is they in your question? They being the council?
Council, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like
Because
any
I
other
doubt a
ordinance.
council would just do this out of the blue. It'd have to be pretty compelling.
Well,
Maybe.
last year, the Historic Preservation Commission came to you and gave the groundwork for a potential ordinance. Then they spent the last year or so working with the city attorney's office, the commission, and Member Cuesta was very involved with that, really getting some guidelines that they think are reasonable. And so they have something ready to go to propose. And I do think there is a fair amount of community support for this, but it will be up to the next council to determine whether they want to do that. The council could say, we want that ordinance brought to us, at a date certain, or make it part of the Code Next rewrite, which is really where all of those things will be considered.
Okay, I think I misunderstood the ordinance that was coming forward. I did not know it would actually allow for a neighborhood then to have some protection. So if that's what they worked on, I didn't believe HPC was working on that. I thought it was designations that were, okay. It's much more
both.
serious. Okay.
It's districts as well as landmarks
Okay.
is what's in the current draft.
Attorney Niles?
I just wanted to clarify that it's my understanding that this is something that the Code Next Steering Committee is considering. So I think the question from staff's perspective is whether council wants to address it now, or do they want to allow it to go through the Code Next process that has the steering committee and the community input, and then council consider it as part of the UDC rewrite.
Great, I think that's a conversation for the next council to have, but to know that it's definitely in there. I didn't realize there were teeth to it. I thought it was more of a designation without any particular oversight of protection of any sort. So if we're looking at an ordinance, that's great. I'll report back to these two people that that's what's in the works, and then it's really more about when it's going to come, whether it's part of the Code Next or whether it's earlier. Okay, great. Go ahead, Member Cuesta. You're muted.
In that memo that the HPC
You're muted, or
that was
hang on
sent
just a
to,
second. Can you
City
repeat what
Manager
you
Lewis,
said?
It does address this matter that you just mentioned, addressing the separate of the Code Next or potentially moving it up on council's priority list. But I'll get that out to the council members through the city clerk for consideration.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, I think that's the end of my questions on this one. I think there are no more boards and commissions, so we'll move on to council members' choice. Bless you. Anybody have anything tonight? Put your little light on. If not, looks like none of us have anything. All right, we'll move on to city manager's choice.
Mayor, I'll be brief since we have an opportunity to get out before it's 7:15. I've asked for the website our city website that contains our new development map to be put on the screen so you can see there. Hopefully folks at home can see this. A council member actually requested this, Mayor Pro Tem Sierra. And so we had kind of an internal working map that we use, but Mayor Pro Tem asked that this be put on. So this is now on our city spotlight on our homepage. And you can go and click on any of those blue dots or red diamonds and find out exactly what the project is, the location of that project, where it is in our development review and permitting process. So we're really proud of our GIS group as well as our community development team for getting this up. And it's a great place for you all to refer your constituents to, because I know I would say, we get a few questions a month from you all that are from constituents wanting to know about development. So this is a great way for them to kind of self-service and you to provide the information to them directly. So that's all I have for tonight. Glad to answer any questions.
Can you tell us what the red versus blue are? Is that on the key or something? I don't see it. There's red dots
I didn't
and
see that in there.
blue dots and red diamonds.
Yes, I'm clicking on those to try to figure it out because I could not find that in the legend either. So
Oh, okay.
The legend's on the left.
yes, but it
Projects
doesn't have.
with building permits are red,
It must be
and
further over.
projects in planning review with no permits are blue.
You have to
Okay.
read the text. There's
Oh,
not a
there.
graphic
Okay. Great.
icon. So
Thank
we'll
you.
add the icons.
Great idea, Mayor Pro Tem. And is that it for you tonight?
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. Then we will adjourn the meeting at 7:12. Thank you, everyone, for coming. All right. We are adjourned.